This is according to Michelle's. Come on in and enjoy the show. Well, good day, everybody. Welcome to another episode of According to Michelle's. So, it's that time of year when I get to introduce another friend of mine, someone I met on the journey of life. I'm sure many of you have recognized her by her glasses or her by her cup of tea, or maybe you see her driving in her car with music and poem or poetry over her head. And so, my friends, I introduce to you Red Framed Revelations, or aka Ayana Divine, whichever way you know her. She's gonna be our guest today. If you notice, I'm trying to keep the dress code.
I see you.
And
I
it's the
see you.
holidays, so guys, I put the Christmas on. So welcome, 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 Miss Divine, to my channel.
Thank
Guys,
you. Thank you.
oh my goodness, it's a pleasure to have you. It's been in the making and it's finally manifesting. I'm so excited.
It's here. It's here, sis.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a huge self-love, self-care advocate. My journey started when I got divorced. I was married for 10 years. I had 4 children. And when I got divorced, I could tell you everything that my kids loved, everything my husband loved, everything my husband hated about me, what my kids didn't like about what some of the things I did. But I could not tell you what I liked about myself, the things I liked, what I love to do. And I could not tell you the things that I wanted to work on in myself because I had become, a servant to everyone around me and didn't really know how to serve or love myself. And so that's kind of how it started. And
Mm-hmm.
it grew from there. And so my journey has evolved into so many things. I started out on Instagram maybe 2.5 years ago, just kind of posting some quotes and things of that nature and things that I would write. Then I got on TikTok and had some real growth on there. And so what I do is I just share quotes that I love. I'm a lover of words.
Mm-hmm.
And I also am a life coach. So I share things that have impacted me. I share stories about my journey. I'm also a cusser and a fusser. So you get all you it's like a big suit, a big gumbo. You get everything
Right,
all in one, but all of it pertains to self-love for sure.
right. So quickly, as you say, you learned, you got a chance to sort of dig into you. What did you discover about you? Give
You know
us
what?
two things or so.
Sure, sure. So one of the things is that I am extremely resilient and can bounce back from a lot of things. And so I remember distinctively, maybe about a couple months ago, we had a training at my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was asked one word that describes who you are. And so immediately I went to my go to word, which is resilient. And that's fine. That was good for that season in my life. But
Mm-hmm.
what I said was that this year, that's not no longer my word. What I want
Mm-hmm.
my word to be is abundance, because
Wow.
resilience is nice. Resilience is great
Awesome.
when
Mm-hmm.
needed. You know what I mean? But we don't have to stay in that space. We can move from survival, right? Having to be resilient, having to be in that, boom, 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 to saying,
Right.
you know what? I'm thriving now. So abundance is my birthright. Abundance is the word that describes me in the most, the way that I see best. And so,
Right.
so I learned that I'm resilient, but I also learned that I have the power in me to create what I want to be
Mm-hmm.
outside of myself. You know what I mean? I grew up in a very religious home. My parents are pastors. And so I remember growing up thinking that there was this power outside of myself that I had to seek to get the things that I wanted in life. And what I've learned on this journey is that, you know, God has given me all the tools to tap into myself using, of course, the connection that we have. I believe
Right.
that, I'm connected to the creator. So therefore I'm a co-creator. Right. And so I can co-create everything that I need, and tap into myself, you know what I mean? And so I've learned that I can do that. And so there are a lot of things that I've manifested just from tapping into who I am. This situation right here, 2 years ago, I said, I want to be on somebody's podcast. I and
And
here
then when
I
I did my search, I didn't find you on anybody's. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna ask because I was like, I wonder if she would do this. And then I'm
yes,
researching. I'm like, I can't find her on. And I'm gonna just brave up and I just ask. And I was so happy when you said yes. Because I'm
Oh,
like, I was rocking with you and I like your messages. And I'm like, oh,
I love it. I love it. So yeah, those are
yeah,
two things that I've
awesome.
learned about myself for sure.
Awesome, awesome. I like the fact that you said you took some time to look in, and I think I remember doing that as a younger adult, saying, you keep to be rushing into stuff, but what do you want for yourself as relates to trying to find a relationship or try to be in a relationship? And I did that journey. So this year, then a lot of life has happened, and I started saying to myself, no, this is not you. Because
Mhm.
who you who what gives you joy, what keeps you going. I said, no, you sound like you're in survival mode. So when you were talking about resilience and walking in abundance, I'm like, that's the word I need to just keep running. I
Abundance.
mean, I know of it, but then I keep saying no, because it's that you're just trying to move from point X to point Y just to keep everything going. You have this going, that going, and then you forget to just stop and smell the roses.
Um,
I've been trying to retrace my steps and say, you know what? Stop, smell some roses.
Good for you. Good. It's so important.
Yeah,
It's so important.
yeah. Right. And I mean, if I'm telling people to, take care of themselves, they're number one. Hey, the person talking about need to be doing it.
You know what? That's the hardest part, I think, too, is that especially being, being a life coach and things of that nature. And then I also do social work in my regular job. And so I'm always telling people what to do or how to
Mm-hmm.
not well, in my job, what to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my business, pointing them in the right direction.
Right.
And I think one of the things that I've had to learn is that um I can still be an example even if I'm broken. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can get caught up on, well, I'm going through so much. How can I be a light to somebody else? How can I? But if we're looking at talking about just the biblical sense, people lead while bleeding all the time. And so it's okay to still be the light that you are and still be
Mm-hmm.
working on some things because we're ever growing, ever working. It's a journey, right? It's not
It's
a
a
dance.
journey, definitely.
Yeah.
That's so true. It's a
So,
journey.
it's okay to still be working on yourself.
Right, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So what has it been like being a life coach? What's some of the the ups and downs of being that?
Well, I think we have to be clear on the distinction between therapist and counselor and life coach, right? And a life
Okay.
coach is one who just kind of helps you to see what you already have in yourself. And so it's helping
Oh.
you to realize that you're creative, resourceful, and whole on your own, and then also holding you accountable. So there are, plans that are put in place. So we can every weekend we check and say, okay, what have we done to get towards this goal? What work have we done to, to make ourselves better, to set boundaries, to do certain things that we've planned in regards to our life. And so it's not therapy. It's more of accountability. I like to think of
Oh,
myself as
okay.
an accountability coach, that type of thing.
Mm.
And so, and helping people to kind of dig into themselves and talk about, let's say, limiting beliefs. I'll talk about one when I think I was like in fourth grade. I went up to I was told to go up to the board to work out a math problem. And I got real nervous in front of people. And I got it wrong in that moment, and I knew it in my mind, but working it out and sweating in front of people and a teacher, it
Mm-hmm.
was wrong. And I remember the disappointment on my teacher's face and the fact that some of the students laughed at me. And from that moment, a limited belief was planted inside of me that I wasn't good at math. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just a small example of how throughout childhood and how we grow up, these limiting beliefs are
True.
planted and they grow root, right? And so before when I was in high school and in college, I used to get anxiety around math. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not bad at math, but
Mm-hmm.
those I just learned differently. You know what I mean? But those seeds are planted, like, self-esteem issues or, issues with
Right.
loving yourself or how your body looks. All those seeds, all those things are seeds that start from some form of limiting belief from childhood. And we talk about discovering those things and working through those things to break those things down.
Right. That's true. And then even so many things you're saying just strike so many memories on my side. Growing up, as I said, back in elementary, it wasn't math for me. It was so back home we used to do and home means Jamaica, guys.
Yeah.
We had time where we do crafts, so the girls would do little craft and the boys would do little whatever. And I did something, and the teacher threw it back at me and gave me a derogatory comment, not necessarily cussing, but it was a negative comment, and I think it caused a mind block, and so I would have ignored that particular area in terms of schooling for a long time till I
Mhm.
got to college when I had to do it. And I had to really sit down and face my fear and really go back and say, where is this coming from? And I remembered that was the day. That from that day, it really threw that cold water, so to speak, over my mind about it. And as a result, because of what I was doing, I changed my discipline. So I had to do that particular class. And so, now that I'm going to be a teacher, I said, you know what? Never would I use a negative word. I always find a way to speak positive to my students. I just positively. So even when I hear people talk, I say, no, I quickly like say, no, change that language. Speak lies, because
I
it
love that.
carries you with you. It's amazing. It was just a simple. It was. I mean, it was embarrassing too because it was in front of everybody, and to her,
Yeah.
it would have been a simple comment. But that thing carried with me for years. So when I was like a young adult, when I realized, oh wow, in grade two, when she
Yeah.
said that to me, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I
It's
can
so
understand
true.
exactly what you're
Yeah,
saying.
and in those moments when you're that young, you can't decipher what is and what isn't, right? The adult
Right.
around you is the say, and so you take that on. And so I love hearing that you have turned that situation into a space of a teachable moment for your students, to make sure
Right.
that they're not surrounded by any negativity. So I love that you turn that into your story, a situation where you're
Right,
helping the
right.
kids. So
Taking myself into being someone who is overcoming that fear, and
yeah,
then use it to just make it as a tool to motivate me. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
Awesome. So how many years have you been a life coach?
You know
Is it
what?
good to
It'll
say
be,
that?
let me
That's the
see, it'll
right
be,
term, because I know you have the therapist, you have a coach,
yeah,
it's
it'll be a
okay.
year.
All right, I don't want to use the wrong term.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And so it'll be a year for life coaching in about a month. And so when I got my life coaching certification during COVID,
Oh,
the
a
tail
lot of
end.
people did a lot of reinvention of themselves and healing and rediscovery that year. It's like we all needed a reset. It's like the
We had
Lord
to.
just. I mean, unfortunately, it was the fact that it was a big sickness. A lot of people had to die, which is still so sad. But a lot of us was able to just do a resetting.
We had to, there was nothing but space and opportunity, nothing but time. And so for
Mm.
me, it was like, during work and things like that, like I said, I do social work, but I wanted to be able to be more transparent and be able to really
Mhm.
connect with people and my clients and do it in a way that I felt like would be most beneficial. And so I did that, and I love it. I love it. I have a nice, steady group of clients, and I'm just grateful. Grateful to be in a space where I can and do what I do and love it as well.
Awesome. So, okay, you talked about loving poetry. Was that the basis and the motivation for the way how you post it? Because that's the first time I saw you. You used to have, some real quotes of that triggered thoughts, and then you'd be like,
So,
or
so I'm
you
going to
have your
tell you.
teacup, and you go.
Sipping that tea.
What
So
motivated that style? Because that's definitely different, and it's very powerful more than anything else I've seen. You know what I'm
thank you.
saying?
So I do. I love words. I love quotes. Matter of fact, I collect quotes, and I also do write poetry. But growing up in the church, I saw my dad and the way he used words and music to
Mm-hmm.
reach people. And so,
Okay.
in developing my brand, having the words on the screen and having music to drive the message home, it plays into people's conscious and it kind of makes you stop and think, and so, and then the teacup, I don't know how that started. I'm a tea lover, coffee lover.
Okay. I was just gonna ask you the next question I was gonna do. What's in the cup?
It could vary from day to day, but I
I
always say
know.
self love, forgiveness of self. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can cuss on here. I was gonna cuss, but I'm gonna say my cuss word. But it's some good stuff in that cup, and I sip on it daily. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I love it. I love it. I always just curious. I was like, is it empty? Is it filled? Is it... And I was just don't know imagination. I wonder what's in her cup today.
It depends on the day, baby. Some days it may be brandy. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. I understand. It's okay. I understand. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So I just wanted to just say thank you so much for all those times when, I want to just give you some flowers right now. where your little inspiration kept me going. I remember one of the ones I did as a remix. I don't know if you remember that I did it. I'm be like, hey sugar, I know things been tough right now, but you got this, something like that. I love that, and I'm like, and I had to read it. It felt like it was just talking to my soul. I think I was been to a rough week that week or something. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I'm gonna, because most times you be like, nah, I'm not gonna trouble these people's reels. But that one felt like so strong to me. So I
I'm
had
so
done the
glad.
remix to it.
I appreciate
So
it. You know what
and
I
for
mean?
all those times you post, I just say thank you. On behalf of everybody who follows you.
Thank you so much. You know what?
Yeah, honestly.
I
I've
think,
been loving the most recent one
which one?
with Trevor Noah. That's amazing. That one
Girl,
was good. It was so profound,
it,
so
I mean,
profound.
you think about, this man has an amazing following, and he's so intelligent and he's
Mhm,
also very comedic, but his intelligence blows my mind. And for him to
mhm,
say in his farewell to this amazing career, in this moment that he's had with this show, for him
mhm.
to say in that moment, you know, thank you to Black women, I was
Right,
floored, because
right,
when you talk
right,
about giving your roses and flowers, there's not a lot of times that we receive that. And there was one thing that he
right.
said that shocked me, not shocked me, but it stuck with me. And he said, Black women don't have time to fuck around and find out. We don't have the
Right.
time.
That's true.
We have to
That's
create
true.
solutions.
No.
We have to be
Sometimes
solutions.
it's like you have to just take the chance and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I don't know if you saw the time when he went back to South Africa to his grandmother, who really
I
she
did.
seems solid as ever. So I can understand. And even the story with his mom, how when he went to meet his dad, he didn't know he was meeting his dad, and I kept putting myself in her place. I'm saying,
Yeah.
can you imagine knowing that this guy, you love the guy, but because of the system that was going on then, she can't maybe even hold his hand in public or hug him. I'm just imagining just the emotion that she had to go through, just trying to
Absolutely.
keep that secret. A secret when everybody's seeing that clearly he's amidst
Clearly.
stars.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got an awesome
Hmm.
story. An awesome story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So quick question.
Mhm.
I been seeing it going on around, right? So I've seen, I don't know if you know Pastor Mike Todd. I think that's his name. He's doing a whole sermon on the title. I've
Mhm.
heard Steve Harvey in the morning one morning talking about it. Cuffing season. What is
Mhm.
that? Is it even a thing? What? Break it down for me from your perspective.
So it definitely is a thing. And what it is when it gets cold outside, you want to
Oh.
you want to get around somebody and snuggle up, and and there's some clients and just people I know in my life, and even when I was in my space where I wasn't as healed or evolved as I am in this moment. You allow people to come back, kind of like a revolving door, knowing that the
Mm-hmm.
situation isn't beneficial for you. But because you're lonely, it's the holidays, and because they're lonely, you allow them back into that space, and then come, you know, when the season, March, whatever, it's
Mm-hmm.
they're back to doing their thing, you're back to doing your thing. And so what I posted about this the other day, I'm uncuffable, so don't come around trying to cuff the uncuffable, because I've grown and evolved to a space where I'm not looking for anything seasonal. I'm not a
Right.
seasonal type of individual. I don't need
Right.
seasonal love.
True.
I don't need seasonal partnership. No. So cuffing season is in fact a thing, but it doesn't have to be a thing for you. And so
Right.
you can decide if you want something seasonal or something that's permanent, something that's, a partnership. And so I'm in a space where you come over here talking about some seasonal stuff and you might get cussed out,
Right.
So
True.
no, it's about
Permanent.
sustainability. Yeah,
Permanency.
partnership.
Okay. I guess
Mhm.
because growing up in the tropics, but then I mean during the Christmas time it does get a little chill, but not as cold that you need winter coats and stuff. But I guess I didn't realize that was a term because I normally get cold as a whoa. You in your mind you imagine you'd say, oh, I wish I had, but I didn't really think it was something like that. I would just grab from a teddy bear or get a weighted blanket and just go through.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You got the remedy, okay? You know what? Here it is. Cuff your own self, okay? Cuff your. How about that?
Yeah, it's too much. The work afterwards too is too much. Like if even if it's not even seasonal, like let's say you're in a relationship for a year, 2 years, the work of picking up the pieces because it didn't work. Oh, just leave me alone.
That's how I feel.
If you're not serious, don't come, please.
Don't stay away. Stay away.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you. So
Stay away.
what lessons can we what advice can you share with person? We're coming to the end of another year, we're starting a new year, we're talking about cuffing season.
Mhm.
Someone who finds themselves in that place perhaps,
Mhm.
in a seasonal thing where it's a on no, we on and off relationships, or it's a relationship that's it's they say it's questionable. All
Yeah.
those different names we put on something that's not necessarily the best thing for us, whatever that is for persons. What are some advice or some pointers you'd want to share with persons watching and listening as they get ready to go into the season of a new year, an old year, turning
Right.
over?
I think defining changing the definition of, so we always say or we feel like we're lonely, right? And I always say, are you lonely or are you free? And when I say free, space is being freed up to work on yourself, to evolve, and not to deal with the constant revolving door. I always say I'm not a convenience store. And that's a lot of times how we allow people to treat us. Whenever it's convenient, they'll come by and get what they need, and then they're out the door. You're allowing people to treat you like a convenience store. And so, are you lonely or are you free? And when you begin to change the thought process of that, freedom starts to feel real doggone good. It really does.
Hmm.
And so, I think in changing that definition and then also taking the time to really work on self love and also self care, right? Taking care of yourself, but also loving all the many facets of who you are. And I think sometimes we forget about loving the dark spaces. And I think we have to be able to love those things as well because those brought us into who we are. So learning to
Hmm.
love the light, the dark, the bad things, the places that bring a little guilt and shame, all those things are a part of what made you uniquely you. And so taking that time to do that and change that definition from being lonely to being free,
Hmm.
it just changes the whole energy. I'm good. Free.
Only free.
We free, sis. We
I
free.
know. I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
therefore you occupy, you make yourself busy doing
Yeah.
something productive.
Yeah, what do you love to do?
Yeah.
What are you aspiring? Is there a book that you could be working on? There's so many things that are inside of us that need to be, birthed, right? And so
Right.
sometimes it takes that freedom, that quiet space to tap into what those things are. And in the era of social media, this is untapped. I mean, this is you can reach. I have a client who I coach in Scotland. You know what I mean? Like that's how far
Hmm.
this reach is. So if you tap
Right.
into this and what you want to do, baby, forget being lonely, honey. We free to make money,
Right.
free to do what you do.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah. I've
ma'am.
been to Scotland. It's a nice country.
Yeah, I love it too. I've been there before too, and it's very it's a lot of castles, the cobblestone streets. It's
Right,
very
right.
I
Locks and
love that.
eggs.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's friendly. It's good for solo travel if you're traveling alone. But back
Yeah,
in the day, this is from 1998 when I was in college. I don't know what it's like. No, I always say I want to go back, but I haven't been back yet.
I went in college too, which was interesting. Yeah, I went for a musical. It
Right.
was
Yeah,
great.
I'm dating myself out here.
That's what I'm talking about. Free, okay, free.
20-year old so frivolously.
You really
Let
in
me
the
have to realize
age.
that, oh my God, I just called. Pretty much telling my age.
You was living
Awesome, awesome. This is good conversations. I'm
good. Yes,
loving it this
ma'am.
tonight. Tell us, give us something that we could maybe. You said your word for this year was walking in abundance. Should we? How do we embrace that? What does that look like? Tell us something more on that. I like that energy that I get in from that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for me, abundance, and I always say, is living in overflow, and not just that, but it's a life of ease. And I think so many times, especially people who look like us, we feel like in order for us to accomplish something, there has to be struggle attached. I got to work hard. I got to do this, and I got to, because I got to work hard. And the fact of the matter is, when you live in a space of abundance, you get things because you're simply who you are. Because you are simply making that affirmation that I am choosing to walk every day in abundance, and that I am a magnet for things to be attracted to me, for good things to be attracted to me, right? So there's an affirmation I say every morning, and that is, universe, I want you to show me how good life can get. Every day.
Mm.
Universe, I want you to show me how good this thing can get. That's switching from, oh my God, please help me, to, I want you to show me how good things get, because I am who I am, because I'm saying who I am, and because I'm
Mm-hmm.
choosing to walk in abundance. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
really what it is. And so it's knowing, understanding, that all good things can be pulled to you, if you change your energy from survival and struggle and
Mm-hmm.
I'm resilient to, I'm staying in a space of ease. This is going to be a life of ease for me. Easy come, easy go.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not supposed to be in my life, you're going to leave my life easily. And if you are, you're going to easily flow to me. And that's just a simple way to kind of pull those things towards you.
Awesome.
Yes.
The other day I was watching, so because I do the affirmations, so there's this one about attracting the positivity and helpful. And I remember doing something, and I saw that whole manifestation coming, and I just, because I was trying to do it, but then I really did need the help, and persons were helping, and I'm like, yeah, I see what that talking, the affirmations can actually manifest in your life and stuff like that. Yeah, some mornings you don't get to do all of that, but I try to at least remain in that space for
Yeah.
self
It's
care
important.
and for mental health break and stuff like that. Do you do that? Do you do like a mental health break day or stuff like that?
Well, there are times where I take a break and pull away from everything, even social media. And so there are times where I'll go completely incognito, I like to call it. And that's where I
Mm-hmm.
am. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on, anything. And it's because I'm pulling away to pull into myself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times doing this type of work on the social media, you can get caught up and pulled into the rat race of likes and shares and hearts. And you can begin to feel lost in the sauce if you don't get
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount of likes and things of that nature. So when I feel like I'm getting to that space, I pull away. I won't post on any social platform, and I'll work on getting back to my center, getting back to why I do what I do. It's not for the likes, it's not for the shares. It's because touching people is what I love, and this is my stage.
Right.
So when I get back to that center, then
Mm-hmm.
I can come back on and do what I need to do. So yes, I do take breaks often. Yes, ma'am.
Right. I think
Mhm.
it's necessary because after a while, I just say you begin to try and figure out what's you and what's not you and stuff. I think it's really necessary.
It
All
is.
right. So, guys, we are having a talk today with the Red Frame Revelation. And if you want to connect with her, tell them again how to find you.
Sure. So on Instagram, it's red_framed_revelations, also Anaya Divine. And then on TikTok, the same, red frame revelations or Anaya Divine. Now, I do have several people who are using my image and likeness to create fake pages. And so I only have one page on Instagram and one on TikTok. And I think I'm at 100 and, almost 150,000 followers on TikTok. So it's the one with the most followers that you need to stick with,
Mm-hmm.
and the one I post regularly. But those are the places you can find me. And if you're interested in life coaching, you can hit me up on Instagram, and I will get back to you, and we can talk about how to go from there.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So, guys, plug in. And she does respond timely.
Yes,
She
yes.
does
I
respond to
do the best
you.
I can. Yes,
Awesome.
ma'am.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's so much that we can go into, but real quick before we have to say goodbye, I
Yes.
want to find out, I want you to share something that, a lesson that you learned this year that you want the listeners and the watchers to go away with, even as we talk about going into the holidays, going into the new year.
Mhm.
Um, yes, give us some of that good energy that you always just ooze on your channel, on your
Um,
page.
I think one of the biggest lessons for me this year was learning that people can only meet you where they've had the courage to meet themselves. A lot of times we set expectations. We have all these beautiful pictures of what we want people to be in our minds, what we want their relationships to be like. But when you really fully understand that people can only meet you where they've had the courage to really honestly sit and meet themselves, it changes your whole perspective. There's no expectation set. It's if you haven't met yourself yet, and dealt with yourself, you can't meet me in any space. You know what I mean? And when you truly have learned who you are, it keeps you from who you're not. And so those are the biggest lessons I've learned this year is that, I don't expect for anybody who hasn't had an honest moment with themselves to be able to meet me and do anything for me because you haven't dealt with yourself. And that's the real.
Awesome.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
real. That feels like a teacup moment.
Sip tea. Sip
Oh my goodness! I was like, that is a full teacup, and I truly appreciate you just coming and just dropping the gems and giving us some, words of encouragement. And guys, as she said, she's on Instagram and on TikTok at red underscore frame underscore revelations, Ayana Divine.
Yes.
Look, make sure you look clearly because sometimes these bots be really tricky with how they do the fake pages.
Oh my gosh,
So
for real.
there's no extra underscores, no extra
That's it.
dots, no extra. It's really
Tell them. Tell them, sis. Tell them.
oh my, no extra A. She knows how to spell.
Thank
You ever
you.
see like some double O's in the name? It's not her.
Well, and now I will never reach out and ask for a reading. That's so just if
Oh,
anybody is
oh yes, I remember you were saying that. I remember that one cracks me up. That's you heard that someone was calling people telling them you do readings, and she's like, "What? I don't do those things." I nearly fall. Oh, I was cracking up. I was like, "She's like, where they do that at?"
I don't do those things. But it's still
Yeah, I know they be shady out there sometimes,
beautiful.
and so you don't even know who's genuine. So I
Well,
just
I
stay
mean,
away.
one of my followers actually sent some money. So what happened was a person so foolishly used my name, but
Mm-hmm.
also used my Cash App that I have on TikTok for if anybody wants to, give. And so somebody sent me the money for a reading and I sent it back and I said, I don't do, readings. So it really can tarnish your image because these people are
Right.
using you. And so,
Oh, I
uh,
thought the money went to the fake person, so the money
no,
really
the
came
money
to
went
the
to
real
me.
you.
It went to
Oh
me
my.
because they copied my stuff to try to get
Oh.
followers. So they didn't change the Cash App. So it went to me
Mm-hmm.
and it said for a reading for in the description. I said, yeah, no, I
Mm-hmm.
don't do readings. So
Mm-hmm.
but that's
Mm-hmm.
just how foolish they are, right? So anyways,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Stay woke, people.
Stay woke. Stay woke.
Oh
Please.
my goodness. I'm telling you. Okay, thank you so much for coming. I had a blast. The
Yes.
conversation continues, and I'll be definitely following to see all the different things you've been doing on your face.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for reaching out.
Yes, I
Love your
appreciate it.
energy. Love your spirit. Thank you so much.
All right, love you too.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Have a good one.